Well, it's officially, finally, time. Time for something that some of us have been waiting for months. Some of us have been waiting for years. It's time for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen to go into early access. And we have the details. We finally have the long-awaited information we've been waiting for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, and it's actually quite a lot. We have a release date, confirmation of Steam release, and pricing, among a few other little tidbits, but let's get right into it. If you're unfamiliar with the premise behind Pantheon, this is a challenging PvE-focused mmorpg built on the DNA of games like EverQuest and Vanguard, which shouldn't be surprising given that the project was originally started by legendary developer Brad McQuaid of EverQuest fame, who tragically passed away before this game could reach this new milestone. But in his place, the game has carried on under the team including EverQuest legend Steve Clover and creative director Chris Perkins, among others. It's a very small indie team, and they've been at this for a while, just about 10 years to be exact. But December 2024 marks a milestone for the game. Pantheon Rise of the Fallen will be going into early access on December 13th, 2024. Just to repeat that for anyone, December 13th, 2024. Which, say it with me, means that it will not be a soft launch and it will be a game that is currently in development. This is in development. There will be bugs, there will be wipes. It's testing. It's not a soft launch. And that is something to make abundantly clear before you consider purchasing this game. This is not a complete game. This is a game in testing. You are not purchasing a final product. And if you don't want to pay for an early access title, wait. Just wait. It's definitely, like, it's a totally valid position to have. Just wait. Just don't go into it expecting a 1.0 release and then getting mad when it's not. There are parts of this game that still feel rough. Bugs happen. Graphics are undergoing lots of iterations, many of which since they've changed the art style to speed up their development timelines and increase performance, even having pretty massive changes from the new art style to what it is now with new iterations. This remains a testing phase for the game, but I can honestly say for me, personally, it's actually the MMO this year in 2024 that I have had the most fun playing. It's probably the one I've actually put the most time into as well, with like EverQuest probably being a close second with the release of the Teak server and random loot and things like that, as well as the EverQuest 2 Origin server, which I kind of ran into a wall with because I kind of missed the bus of players, unfortunately, and couldn't get groups. But that's different. That's a different thing. With Pantheon, there's still some refinement that needs to happen in some very key areas. And so since we're talking about early access, I want to talk about those real quick, but I won't take too much of your time. Those key areas, in my opinion, the ones that I think like really need some refinement and things that I think people going into early access should be aware of, is there's a lack of like NPC interaction. There's a lack of NPCs really noticing you. And this is all tied to the pulse system, which I don't know if it'll be in by early access or not. I think it's supposed to be, but it's not there yet. I also think the questing system at current is just not there. They don't have the balance yet for questing. If you are coming in from a game like WoW Classic, you're going to find the quests lackluster because I don't think that they have a whole lot of value yet. Either value in whether or not they give experience, value in monetary things, material things, or value in lore and world building for the game. Those things still need a lot of refinement. They need to be upped a little bit. However, the core gameplay loops of really the things that'll be very familiar to fans of EverQuest, like going out and finding challenging camps, sitting and grouping up with your friends, and just basically combat. All of that is there, and it's a lot of fun. Like, a lot of fun. I even played a healer recently, and my group didn't die much, amazingly, but I had to focus a lot.
Labored Blessing is kind of a small reason to let my health drop down a little bit.
I have to focus so much more as a healer than as anything else.
You're doing great, man. You're doing great.
If you're a fan of EverQuest, you will most likely enjoy this game at its current state. Just know that there's some things that still need refinement. The game right now leans a bit more toward group mandatory, but they're striking a balance of making groups highly incentivized, but not actually mandatory. Or at least that's the eventual goal. You are able to log in right now and you can solo things, but it can be dangerous and it'll be significantly slower. I'd suggest I've even probably split my time around 60-40 between solo and group over the last year. Grouping has always been more fun and more rewarding, but I've liked that I can also log in, kill some things solo, and then just log out. But how much is this going to cost to play this game in early access? Well, it's going to be $39.99 or $40. It will not have a subscription fee, so you'll be able to play the game in EA for just $40. So I guess essentially the same cost as New World. And also, I guess like PAX Day and Core Punk, very similar pricing to some early access games and the most recent released buy-to-play MMO. But again, this is an in-development testing title, so do not go in expecting it to be a soft launch. In fact, it is likely and even expected that there will be wipes throughout. On their Steam page, Pantheon says that they plan on being in early access for about a year, which is very ambitious. They do state explicitly, "We are planning to be in early access for at least a year. However, that's subject to change. We're confident in our release cadence, but in case any issues pop up, we'll have to divert resources to deal with that due to the nature of our small team." That means if things go well, like exceedingly well, like really, really well, we could be looking at a release date of 2026 or like sometime in 2026. But that I think is something for another video, because I don't want to start holding them to some release date when we're just now getting early access. But at least a year of early access. Visionary Realms will be using this period of early access to take feedback, and this is where I want to personally implore you, not just with Pantheon, but all games that enter this stage, use it to give feedback. That is the entire point of early access. That is why Steam made the category over a decade ago. It's not World of Warcraft selling you 3 days of early access for a premium price to an already done expansion where they're not taking any freaking feedback. Use early access to give feedback to the developer. I firmly believe that Baldur's Gate 3 was such a good game in part due to all that valuable feedback players gave them over their 3-year EA period. Please do the same for Pantheon. The two main places I know of to give feedback are the Discord for the game and the stream for the creative director, Chris Joppa Perkins, who I'll link down below. Leave feedback on how combat feels, questing, death penalties, loot. Help them make a game you want to play. They've also said they will be soliciting feedback from players in the Steam announcement, so here's hoping we get surveys as well. Early access for the game will include all of the following: in-game content up to level 40, 6 huge playable zones: Thronefest, Avendir's Pass, Halnir Cave, a dungeon, Silent Plains, Eastern Plains, and Wild's End, with more to come online throughout early access. 6 playable races: the human, ogre, elf, dark merc, dwarf, and halfling. Basic character customization, with more to come online throughout early access. 12 playable classes, each with their own playstyle and class roles following the EverQuest quaternity of tank, healer, DPS, and support. While initially there was some concern over them hitting their goals they had, especially as at the time of the announcement we only had humans in game and had been waiting on ogres and dwarves for months, that's largely changed with the recent updates to the game before EA release. All 6 of the playable races are currently in game. Basic character customization is in game, and I do mean basic, but it's there for them to continue to add and iterate on. All the classes they plan for EA are in, and we've seen continued progress on the game throughout, including new visual effects, refinements to combat with their technique system, and more. You even have a new water system. They added in the Crest water system for the game, which looks really good, but still needs a little bit of refinement. But we will be able to swim in early access. Servers will go down on December 1st in preparation for early access, and then reopen on the 13th. You can wishlist Pantheon right now. I've gone ahead and linked it down below if you would like to. But thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in Terminus. Just please res me when you see my corpse. Yeah, there's a lot of them.